I'm Jen Varney with Meringue Bakery, and I am making homemade marshmallows today. I am crazy excited to show you how to make these. One, because they're delicious, but two, because they're a little bit more difficult to make, and sometimes it's nice to have somebody show you how to do it, like me, who does it on a regular basis. It involves a couple different techniques here. For starters, you're going to need a thermometer because we need to cook sugar to a certain temperature, and that's kind of important here. And I would say the other tip I can give you is when you make marshmallows to have everything measured out, just like me, in front of you, because once you start, there's a progression here with timing, and you do not want to be disrupted. So have everything in its place, beautifully set, and then get ready to rock. So I think we're ready to rock here at the bakery. Let's give credit where credit's due. Today I am using a recipe straight up from a cookbook called Miette, and I want to show you this because it's one of my favorites, and it's a great cookbook if you are in the market for one. Today I'm making a double batch, but I'm making two different things with it. First, we just happen to have beautiful little marshmallow egg molds here. So for half the batch, I'm just going to simply put this marshmallow batter in here, and then for the other half, we're going to make some homemade Peeps style marshmallow. Two different applications, same recipe. The only difference here is that we're adding straight up sugar to our pan. And I would say use quite a bit of sugar. I don't want to see any of the bottom of my pan. Perfect, totally coated with sugar. I'm going to set this off to the side. These adorable egg molds need to be coated with powdered sugar and cornstarch. This will help the marshmallows from sticking to that bottom of that silicone while it's setting. I have both cornstarch and powdered sugar together in a sifter, and I'm doing a lot of powdered sugar and cornstarch here. I want to make sure that there's no part of that silicone that I can see because the marshmallow will stick to it. Easy does it. These go off to the side too, ready for us for when the marshmallows are ready to rock. Let's talk gelatin. At home, you have two different choices. You can use sheet gelatin or powdered gelatin. At the bakery, we're using 2 ounces of sheet gelatin, and I need to bloom them. I have very cold water, almost ice cold, and I have 2 ounces of my gelatin, and I'm just putting it in here. It's going to set. It might take about 5 minutes. If you are using packets, you need 8 packets for this. And I would say bloom it in about 1 cup of ice cold water. So you have a cup of ice cold water, you take your 8 packets, dump it in, take a fork, stir it around, and let it sit for about 5 minutes. We're done talking about gelatin, let's move on. Into a saucepan, I have 1 cup of corn syrup and 2 cups of sugar. Before I turn on the heat, I'm going to lightly incorporate the 2 sugars together. Whenever you cook sugar, you have to make sure that the sides of the pan are as clean as possible. And I do this easily by dipping my finger in available water, which, hello, it's right here, it's cold water, and I'm just taking my finger and rubbing it across the edge of my pan to free up any of those sugar granules that are caught on the side. In a mixer with a whisk attachment, I have 6 egg whites. Once my sugar pan is ready, I'm going to start cooking it on a high heat. Remember I talked about timing? Our goal here is to cook the sugar to 246 degrees and whip our egg whites to medium peaks at the same time. We want this to all happen and end at the same time. The best way to do this is to start whipping the whites when your sugar is at about 220 degrees. While I'm waiting, I'd like to get some of this water drained from the sheet gelatin. My favorite way of doing this is to release this softened gelatin from the water and to put it on a clean towel and let it hang out for a couple minutes. This will give me enough time to dry out this excess water and have everything else happening at the same time. This sugar is at 220 degrees. It's time for me to start whipping up these egg whites on a high speed. My egg whites have just started to get frothy. It's been about a minute. Now is the time for me to add my pinch of salt and pinch of tartar. To finish these egg whites, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, I am in business. I have sugar that is just almost pushing 250 degrees, and I have these peaks that are at a medium peak. While this mixer is going, I'm slowly pouring my sugar onto the side of the pan. It's important to try to make it hit the edge of the bowl so the sugar doesn't come whipping back up at you with that whisk. Now we need to melt this gelatin into this pan. While this pan is still hot, I want to wring out the last of the moisture that's in here and simply put this into the hot pan. If needed, turn the heat back on low and let this finish melting. In the meantime, I'm turning my mixer back on because this needs to mix for several more minutes. If you were using powdered gelatin at home, all you would have to do is take your cup of bloom gelatin and put it directly into this pan to let it get melty and soft. It only took about 30 seconds for this gelatin to fully melt. We need to continue to whisk this marshmallow until it cools down slightly, but not so cool that it starts to set up and it's hard to spread. So there's a little bit of a timing issue here. Warm enough that it spreads, not cool enough that it's hard to spread. This would be the perfect time to add any additional extracts that you have in mind. For example, if you have any orange extract or raspberry or peppermint, this is a time to add it. And also, if you have any food coloring that you want to jazz it up with, add it in right now. Today, we're just doing a plain old vanilla marshmallow, so we're not adding that at this time. Our marshmallows are ready to rock, and I have my 2 prepared sheet pans pulled up in front of me. This batter right now is still warm, but it hasn't quite set up fully yet. This is the perfect time for spreading. To make sure that these eggs have equal amounts, I'm using a simple ice cream scoop. I'm pouring the rest of this batter into our peep pan that has sugar at the bottom of it. Remember that cornstarch and powdered sugar? The last step here is to powder the tops of these eggs ever so slightly. I'm putting equal amounts of both of the cornstarch and powdered sugar in here, and I'm just bopping the tops. If I'm lucky, I should be able to just slightly punch them down to fully fill out the molds. Look at how much fun this is. This is like the softest, most pillowy marshmallow ever. To finish out my peep pan, I'm just sprinkling regular granulated sugar over the top of this. And just like I did when I bopped down these marshmallows, I'm taking my same hands and pushing down just to try to make it evenly distribute throughout. I see one spot is sticking to my hand, so I'm just putting sugar over the top of it so it doesn't stick. If you thought mixing this was hard, really the hardest part is having to wait the agonizing 4 hours for these to set up, because it needs that time at room temperature to firm up enough for them to pull out from either pan. But my goodness, I just want to dig in right now. Okay, 5 hours later, these marshmallows are ridiculously perfectly set up. They spring back, they're just a touch sticky, they're ready to come out. In the last 5 hours, I've already made tons more marshmallows, and we're moving on to these pink ones that have a little bit of raspberry extract and pink food coloring in them. I cannot wait to see what these look like. It feels like Christmas.
Or Easter.
Or Easter. These are coming out of the molds very easily, which is just what I was looking for. Now these marshmallows have popped out really easily and they're all right here, but what I'm really excited about are these peeps. Now I need to unmold the sugar peeps. If you remember, these were just in a regular 9 by 13 inch pan. And the hardest step here isn't even hard. You just run your knife along the outer edge here to loosen it up. The fun part here is flipping it over. Oh, homemade raspberry pink peeps. Just because I can. I happen to have a Wisconsin cookie cutter that I'm going to use. Look at that! Hey, Wisconsin peeps! Now, these little gems are for gift giving. These leftover bits and pieces are for me. Thank you so much. I'm Jen Barney. This is Meringue Bakery. As always, if this video made you happy, give us a like down below. And if you want to see more videos, simply subscribe. Have a wonderful day.